Hi, I'm Marino. I'm just an ordinary English teacher from at Waikia High School, and I've been teaching English, freshman English, actually for several years. I'm now in ELL, but I still, it's very new to me. So I'm going to be talking as an English teacher, a freshman English teacher. And I don't know how many of you are English teachers or high school, but thank you. There's a special place in heaven for you. But when we did Springboard, and again, I don't know if you've all adopted Springboard, the Springboard curriculum, but I decided to not deviate from what I always do, and I continued using this piece called Mahch. And what you have, what I passed out, or thank you so much for passing it out, is a student annotated work of the short story Mahch. And you can see the students' annotations. So Mahch is by Armitage. He's a professor of Hawaiian language at UH Manoa. I have never met Armitage, and I would love to someday meet him. But I love this particular work. You can find it on ulukau.org. It's the Hawaiian Electronic Library, and it has it's a terrific resource. Not just text, but also genealogy, Hawaiian dictionary. It's an excellent resource that I hope you surf. This particular story, Mahch, was first published in the Oiwi, Pai Holomua Oiwi Volume 2 in 2002. And I have the link that you can look at it. In this, I use it for the very first text for freshman English, and our theme is always coming of age. And it's the perfect, I think, the perfect text to begin the year and begin their high school career in English. Students will learn and identify the following in this one-page text: dialogue, imagery, foreshadowing, vernacular, theme, point of view, inferences, flashback, tone, structure, compare and contrast, including chronological and reflection. Students will use the following in reading the text: using pre-reading strategies, including predicting and contextualizing, marking the text, annotating the text, using context clues to determine meaning of unknown words, using strategies like soapstone and Cornell notes to analyze a text, responding to a text using Springboard's TLQC, and use this text as a base for further research and exploration. So I don't know if you started to read Mahch, but if you don't mind to take a few minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and read it. So first, I have them look at the title, Mahch. Actually, first I have them do a pre-writing exercise. Tell me your happiest childhood memory. And they'll write. And it doesn't matter, grammar, pidgin, standard English, just write. And so they write their happiest childhood memory. And then I ask them to write their saddest childhood memory. And some of them say, it's too hard to write. It's too hard to write my saddest childhood memory. So then I tell them, write what you feel comfortable in writing. And some of the stories are very heart-wrenching. As English teachers, we have that luxury of really reading a lot of soul-searching writings from our students. And then after they do that, then I have them look at Mahch 5, the title. Anyone does everyone have the short story? You need more? I have more. So they make predictions. And then we number the section. That's an AVID strategy. We number the sections, and then I ask for volunteers to read it. And of course, it's an oral language. It's an oral language, and so they're shy at first. And so I usually begin. Honey, you read the paper? Yeah, I read them. You going? No, what for? He's your father. And then it continues the story of his childhood and how they lived in the country and how his father, hardworking man, his mom, again, hardworking woman, raised him and his siblings. And he goes on to relate how the father would be very abusive. And he gives a particular occasion, you notice in section 4. He peeled before the guava stick, 'cause had the stick. Who? The thing some saw, man. He give us lickings all the time. One time, he went throw my head to the brick wall. The wall went puka my head. White wall with all my blood on top. And if you notice the notes, you'll see an eye, a hand, an ear. I'm not sure if we have a nose. Oh, a mouth. And that's all notes for the different types of imagery. And he uses great imagery. His style is very descriptive. And from the beginning with the dialogue, already in the dialogue, you're making inferences. Who are the speakers? Because he doesn't say who the speakers are. So then I teach about making inferences that you need the text, but you also need prior knowledge. Okay, when do we use honey? And so they talk about it. And she writes it here in her notes. It could be a husband and wife, or it could be a mother and child. So they're critically thinking. And then they see the foreshadowing. Where is he going? What are they talking about? And then started small kid time for me, the flashback. All these literary devices right at the get-go. And the point of view, me, it's a personal narrative. You don't find out until section 8 where they're going or where they're talking about going. He talks about, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. The circled words are the words that they may be unfamiliar with. So if you look at all the circled words, except for me, cow. Most of them know that, but there are some because I teach this to my inclusive classes, which includes ELL students, SPED students, general ed students, but I also teach it to my honors students. And it's a conscious decision that I make to teach it to all. And the honors students, they don't feel very confident in reading this and in knowing the words. Or the higher end, the students who feel much more confident in the general ed classes don't. the SPED students are eager to read it, are eager to answer, oh, I know what Kaukau means. I know what Luna means. Kokua, Hale, Pau, Puka, Hanai, Pa'akai, Pupu, Manini, Kumu, Pilikia, Hibachi, Batu. Make, if you notice in 8, and they first say make, and then they all laugh. Kala, holo holo. And we have to use context clues. Sometimes they know it, but pa'akai, they have to use context clues. It's very unusual to have a student in the classroom who knows what pa'akai is. So then we use the context clues. We're using all of the strategies that you would use in any other work. And we use the same strategies in To Kill a Mockingbird later on and Romeo and Juliet. So in 8, I had a lucky one because I had love from my grandfather then. He contrasts that after that incident when his father threw him against the wall and his mother tells him to cover it up when the grandfather asks him about it. That's when it's a pivotal moment. It's a pivotal moment, and he goes to live with his grandfather and grandmother, and the description after that is very different. It's very happy, it's very loving, very different imagery. And then he talks about the consequences of growing up in an abusive home, consequences with his brothers, his sister, but his life was different because he had the love of his grandmother and grandfather. And again in 8, when my grandfather Make, I wanted for die too. This time, I no feel nothing except finally. All your friends going to see that none of your kids come for pay respect because none of them get for you. You die with shame. Make ask that kind. So then we're talking about where is he going? And they have to make an inference because it's never explicitly said his funeral. And then they make the connection back. The paper, oh, that's the obituary. They're reading the paper. And he's actually making an argument. So we introduce right at the beginning the concept of argument, which our students are going to have to write argumentative papers. So then we teach he's actually making an argument why he won't go or should not go to the father's funeral. The wife says, but he's your father, right? So that's the counter argument. He's blood. No matter what, you have to go because he's blood. And then he gives the rebuttal and the reasons why he won't be going to the father's funeral. To me, it's an excellent piece of literature, of local literature, introducing so many strategies, so many concepts that they will be using not only throughout that year, but throughout their academic career, whether that's in high school or college and beyond. They will be using these same concepts using local literature. And we find at the end, because Kimo Armitage is an amazing writer, he ends with dialogue. His structure of his piece. So he begins with dialogue, he ends with dialogue. Look like one good day for go holo holo, honey. Maybe get kala and manini today. And so we conclude that Mahch Phi, do you know what Mahch Phi is now? Right, March 5. March the 5th, the day of his father's funeral. And instead of going to pay respects, to pay his respect at his father's funeral, he's chosen to go fishing and honor his grandfather, something that he would do with his grandfather. And you don't know that until you've read it all the way through. And it becomes a very powerful message, and we talk about theme, that his purpose or his message is when you abuse or be a bystander like his mom was, you take the risk of losing love and respect. But when you show love or give love, love and honor will be returned. And that's a powerful message and discussion. And I want to just share some of the things that, now we do soapstone, we do Cornell notes, they do responses, but I want to share some of the things that students wrote. I'm not sure if my time, okay. My auntie used to yell and hit me for something really small, like if I was to cough without covering my mouth or something. That's not even worth getting hit for. She used to call me names and fly stuff at me. She used to tell me I was worthless and that I lie about everything. At one point, I thought to myself, am I? I didn't know what to do. I thought she was right until one day everything changed. Someone finally called the cops, finally got taken away and placed into an interim home. After staying in there for about a month or so, they finally found a family that wouldn't do the things that my auntie guys did to me. I finally found the perfect family for me. I don't have to worry about anything now. Now I see myself with a much brighter future than I did back then when I was living with my auntie guys. This affects me because I don't want other kids going through something like me. And Kimo did, or something even worse. And I'm going to be different and not be abusive, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. They should be treated with love and respect. People need to stop the abuse. I love how she makes that text-to-self connection. And then throughout the year, they make text-to-text connections. Because time is short, I just want to end with one SPED student. I don't have what he wrote down, but I'll never forget what he said. After we read it, then he said, "Miss, I know that the worst, my unhappiest childhood memory is the day my father went beat up my mother. After getting high. But you know the happiest one? It was the day I went stand up to him and tell him, leave." That moment solidified our relationship the rest of the year. He felt very comfortable in sharing anything and in learning anything that we had in the classroom. And I was thrilled. In contrast, my honor student, and I think it's very important, as Susan said, to share stories of Pidgin, Hawaiian Creole English to our honor student. To me, that's part of taking away the stigmatization. Because they will be the teachers maybe, and maybe elitist. But if we can take away the stigmatization from all classes, we're empowering all of us. And she, after reading Mahch 5, she decided to do a research paper on the hidden abuse amongst women of ethnic backgrounds. She's Asian, and she did in particular, her research was on abuse of Asian women and how they hide it. And so we don't have the clear statistics about that. And I thought that was amazing that I didn't even think about that. But that's the wonderful thing about giving works, text, to everyone and see where they fly with it. And they will fly. No matter where they are, they will fly, they will soar. At the end of the school year, they're reading and studying and analyzing Romeo and Juliet, and they see the text is difficult just as the text was with Mahch 5, just different. And some of them choose to do an adaptation in Pidgin with a Hilo High School Romeo and a Waikea High School Juliet. What a wonderful way to end the year. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to or try to answer them. Yes?
Okay, you know how, like for this story, right, the stories of the leaves kind of come out? So, like for me, like same thing, Springboard, there's the story Two Kinds, Amy Tan, they have the argument between the mom and daughter.
I love Amy Tan, by the way.
So the next day I did a bell work, like what was the worst argument you ever got into with like a parent or guardian type person, yeah. And so how do you respond to like stories of, you know, when kids get beaten, like that's the punishment, right? And that's like the norm, yeah.
I speak to them privately. First, I write something. Well, I write in everything. I give feedback in everything, and I'm always try to be caring, sensitive, and again, that's solidifying that relationship, building that relationship between student and teacher. But I try to talk to them privately. Sometimes they'll seek you out because you've built that trust with them. But always make that one-on-one connection. And sometimes you have to talk to an administrator, and I have. Thank you.